Apparently Toy Story doesn't have any bad games. Yeah, you heard me right. No bad games. Like, this epiphany slapped me in the face just the other day when I was chatting with a buddy of mine. Hey Gramos, shout out to you, nerd. Thank you for the video idea, by the way. Nah, before you go to the comment section screaming about that one game or whatever, let me stop you right there, because yes, I know there's some stingers. But if you were talking about main releases only, you know, the ones tied directly to the movies and built for whatever consoles were popping at the time, then like, holy shit, Toy Story has a freakishly solid good track record. Like, for licensed game standards, this is practically unheard of. So here's the plan. We're gonna dive headfirst into this toy box and test this theory out. Are these games as good as I remember? Spoilers, I think we're good, but you know, let's find out.
Toy Story, the video game.
Alright, our first stop in the nostalgia train is 1995, a simpler time. Like, Amazon had just sold its first book ever, Friends and Seinfeld were still dominating TV, and people still rented movies. Meanwhile, Pixar decided to drop the bomb with Toy Story, the first ever fully 3D animated movie. Naturally, a video game tie-in was a no-brainer, right? Enter Toy Story, the game, hitting the Sega Mega Drive, or Genesis for my American homies, and the Super Nintendo. Oh, and if you were fancy, the PC version and Game Boy one dropped the following years, but yeah, let's not talk about those just yet. This one is kinda personal for me, as I grew up playing the Mega Drive version, so that's the one we're focused on today. The game is a 2D side-scroller where you play as Woody, reenacting the moves events. But, and this is a very important but, and you will know why in just a second, they sprinkle in just enough video game logic to make it, fun. This little gem was published by Disney Interactive and developed by Traveler's Tales. Yep, the same folks who brought you LEGO games later. If you've ever seen Games Hut's YouTube channel, where a former Traveler's Tales dev spills all the behind-the-scenes tea, you know how they pulled straight-up wizardry on these old consoles. And holy crap, it shows. This is a licensed game, but they treated it like a real project, not just some lazy cash grab. Right from the first level, they're flexing on us. The game's visuals are 2D, but they pulled off these neat tricks to make the scenery feel 3D. Just like the movie. It says right here in the box. It's like they had something to prove, and oh boy, did they deliver. Woody's got a perfectly simple moveset. Jump and whip with his pull string. That's it. No power-ups, no BS, just good old-fashioned gameplay. And guess what? It's all you really need. The controls? Oh, they are smooth as butter. Woody's snap, responsive, and his jumps have just enough weight to feel satisfying. It's like they actually playtested this damn thing. Imagine that. Here's the thing about this game. It wasn't your typical run to the right and you hit the goal platformer. No, Toy Story wanted you to actually do stuff. So instead of just booking it to the finish line, you've got tasks to complete. First, you pop the lid on the green arm main bucket, then you knock the baby monitor off the shelf for them. And only after those two heroic feats, you can end the level by touching the second baby monitor. This is straight out of the movie's opening scene, where Woody asks Sarge and the green arm man to scope out Aang's birthday presents. Only here, Woody is a lot more hands-on, He's not just barking orders, he's doing the damn thing. Moving on, level 2 cranks up the urgency. Aang's running back to his room, and the toys have to scatter like cockroaches. So of course, you've got a time limit to get them out to safety, which just means hustling them over to an air pump and inflating a balloon to yipped them into the toy box. This whole level is based on a 17-second scene from the movie, and yes, I counted. How they stretch that into a full stage is beyond me, but honestly, it works. This is what I mean by sprinkling video game logic on it. They just took this blink and you miss moment and turned it into a solid, frenetic level. Next up, we've got Woody racing Buzz to Aang's bed. This level is more straightforward, just get to the end. No side objectives, no puzzles, just run. And spoiler alert, you cannot win this race. Buzz will always beat you to the bed, no matter how fast you are. That said, the stage isn't boring. It's got some solid platforming action, and just watching Buzz breeze through the obstacle course ahead of you adds a nice touch of visual flair. Also, swimming from ceiling hooks with wood pull string, chef's kiss. There's something deeply satisfying about chaining those swings together like a pro. Level 4 drops the game's first boss, and it's weird. Apparently, this is supposed to take place during the night Wood spends in the toy box, which the movie just glosses over, aside from the shark stealing Wood's hat and yelling, "Look, I'm Woody! Howdy, howdy, howdy!" Anyway, in the game's version of events, Woody has a nightmare about Buzz, and that's your boss fight. It's not tough, but it's kinda fun. First, you've got to whip down those barrier thingies while you're dodging his lasers. Once those are gone, just smack him a few times while he's teleporting. Do that 4 times and boom, it's toast. Oh boy, level 5. This level haunts me to this day. Imagine taking this scene where Wood tries to knock Buzz behind the desk and thinking, you know what would make this better? A shitty top-down racing stage. So in this you play as RC, and it's not racing in the fun sense, it's like racing against your patience. The controls are absolutely ass. I'm not sure if this is just how top-down racers work because I avoid them like the plague, but let me explain this train wreck. See that little wheel on the corner of the screen? That's your compass from hell. Pressing left or right spins the wheel in that direction, and RC follows that spin to turn. Simple, right? Wrong! And just when you are adjusting to this hot mess, guess what? RC has a battery that's constantly draining. If it runs out, you are done. Restart the whole damn level. You can refill it by hitting multiple buses, Lightyears scattered around, which, don't ask video game logic again. Little kid me hated this level, but I'm a grown man now, I can take it. Fuck! 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 Alright, level 6. It's a remix of level 1, but with a twist. Wood is now public enemy number 1. So the toys are out for Bud because he knocked Buzz out of the damn window. And you've got to dodge them while navigating a more traditional platforming layout. Not only do you need to get to the end of stage, but you've got also open up the path for Rex. You know, because Rex can handle stacked blocks, apparently. On the bright side, the color palette shifts to reflect the Twilight scene from the movie, giving the level a fresh, moody vibe. Level 7 cranks up the chaos with an auto-scroller. Rex is helping you out, bless his tiny T-Rex arms, but the other toys are relentless. It's a game of dodge and weave, and you are trying to outmaneuver everything coming your way. This level pulls no punches. It's hard as balls, but not in that frustrating, this game is broken way. Nah, it's tough but fair. You will lose a couple of lives figuring out the patterns, but once you nail it, oh man, it's so satisfying. And now, another boss fight. This time, it's the real Buzz Lightyear. This loosely adapts the gas station scene where Woody and Buzz have their infamous fight. And by loosely, I mean Buzz standing there headbutting you while you hit them with a tire. Yes, a tire. Your only goal is to whip this tiny ass tire into his smack Buzz 4 times. And while we are at it, what is this tire even for? It's not attached to anything, it's just lying there, vibing in the middle of the gas station? Is it for a toy? A toddler's bike? Who the fuck knows? Level 9 throws us into the iconic Pizza Planet scene, where Woody and Buzz are disguised as Thrash to sneak up past the humans. So you will be dodging the world's smallest hot dogs and sandwiches, and other hazards that are way more aggressive than they have any right to be. And occasionally a human will wander by, but you'll know they're coming thanks to paper airplanes telegraphing it. Whenever that happens, just crouch and stay hidden. But here's the kicker. Buzz follows right behind you, and if he bumps into you, you'll take damage. Thank you so much, Buzz. It's such a small moment in the movie, but the game absolutely ran with it and made a full-on stealth stage. Honestly, I respect it. Level 10 takes a sharp left turn into uncharted territory. The devs just said, What if the claw machine? But inside? So now we are platforming through the guts of the claw machine in a completely made-up scenario. And this level is hardcore. You've got moving and disappearing platforms, tight corridors. Basically everything is designed to make you suffer. But hey, it's a linear path, so at least you won't get lost. Just don't lose your patience instead. Oh, level 11. Where do I even start? This level shifts to a first-person Doom-styled maze, because why the hell not? And it's honestly insane that a licensed game decided to flex this hard for one level. And it's even crazier that it just runs smooth as butter. Your job, navigate the maze, find the lost aliens quick toys, and while racing against the clock. Sounds doable, right? Wrong again. This level absolutely destroyed me as a kid. Mostly because it wrecked with my motion sickness like a roller coaster on steroids. Thankfully, my cousin was there to tag in and carry me past this nightmare, and if it weren't for him, this might have been the game's final boss for me. But the actual boss fight is in level 12 and pits you against the claw. You know, the claw. Yep, it's time to save Buzz from becoming Sid's next victim. So your goal is to whip alien squeaky toys at the claw every time he tries to snatch Buzz. Do this 4 times and GG. But, and this is a big but, every time the claw grabs Buzz, it moves closer to the right side of the screen, making it harder to hit. Oh, and don't forget about the loose wire. This bad boy will zap you if you are not careful. This fight is all about timing and precision, mess up and Buzz is clawfoot. But like, no pressure. And despite all their valiant efforts, Sid still wins at the end. And now we are in his lair of nightmares, his room. Welcome to level 13, a brutal platforming stage where everything, and I mean everything, is out to get you. Sid's room is filled with hazards, some straight from the movie and some cooked up in a fever dream, I guess. The real standout gimmick though is Sid's magnifying glass, as he uses it to burn Wood's forehead, just like in the movie. And when this happens, Wood goes sprinting uncontrollably. So when that happens, your job is to steer Wood around obstacles until you find a bowl of cereal to cool him off. Again, just like in the movie. We're still in Sid's room for level 14, and yep, it's just as brutal as before. Everything's out to kill you, from the mutant toys to Sid's chaotic decor. This stage demands absolutely mastery of Wood's pull-string swings. If you're not precise, you're toast. The finale of this stage is a nice nod to the movie again. You reach Buzz, and use his karate shot action to scare off Sid's freaky toys. Again, just like in the movie. Again. Time to shake things up. Level 15 is another auto-scroller, but this time you're in Roller Bob. You know, that skateboard Frankenstein contraption? And we're going down Sid's house, dodging falling obstacles and Sid's dog, Scud, who is constantly on your tail. This stage is absolute chaos, more frenetic than the early Rex chase, but once you start naming the patterns, it's insanely satisfying. It's tough, but it never feels unfair. One small tip for you while you're playing this level, Roller Bob doesn't take any damage, only wood. So feel free to let some hazards hit his face. Level 16 is a Mode 7 style racing stage that puts Woody back on RC, zooming down the street. It's mostly straightforward, with minimal obstacles, just you and your depleting battery to worry about. Visually though, it's not the game's finest moment. The roadside houses look like they were doodled in MS Paint, with no roofs in painfully low-res texture. The Mega Drive can do better, and I've seen do better. At least the controls aren't as garbage as the first RC stage. Are you kidding me? So level 70 is another RC battery collecting stage with S controls. But you know what? This one is not as bad. The corridors are more forgiving and you just need to keep moving upwards to reach the end. It's fine, like it's not great, not terrible, just a stepping stone to the finale. And then the grand finale. Level 18 adapts the iconic falling with style moments, except Buzz is straight up flying in this one. Forget falling, he's full-on superhero mode here. It's an auto-scroller, but compared to the earlier chaotic ones, this stage is a breeze. No enemies, just static obstacles like trees and streetlights. and the pacing ramps up toward the end, but honestly, it's a gentle conclusion after all the madness. When you finish, congrats, you've completed the game. Then, yeah, this game is an absolutely gem. Traveler's Tales took a licensed property, a huge risk by the way, and turned it into a visually stunning, mechanically diverse 16-bit masterpiece. The graphics pushed the Genesis to its absolute limits, capturing the move's 3D magic in pixel form. But the real star of the show is the creativity in the level design for sure. The devs took even the tiniest moments from the movie and built fully fledged stages around it. The gameplay variety is also nuts, like you've got platforming, racing, stealth, doom. It's all here, and it keeps the experience fresh. Sure, it's tough as nail, but it's so rewarding when you overcome those challenges. For me, it's a childhood classic, and it still holds up to this day. Whether you were revisiting it for nostalgia or trying it for its first time, it's well worth the ride. And like the soundtrack, absolutely banger. It's so good that I still catch myself humming it to it randomly to this very day. And like for this video I decided to take on the Genesis version, like obviously, but let's see how other versions compare. While they are all based on the same game, the differences are definitely worth mentioning in my opinion. Let's start with the Super Nintendo version. For the most part, it's identical to the Mega Drive version in terms of gameplay. Woody moves the same way and the levels are all laid out pretty much as you would expect. And visually it does look a bit better. The colors are brighter and the sprites and backgrounds are more polished. But then the cracks start to show. The whip's hitbox feels shorter, and if you played the Mega Drive version before, this shows everything off. Platform sections where you need to swing with the pull string suddenly feel harder than they should. The biggest problem though is the SNES lower resolution. This screen feels cramped, and it's harder to see what's ahead of you. This makes some stages, especially the outer runners, so much more frustrating, and leaps of faith pop up everywhere because of that. Oh, and level 16, that Mode 7 racing stage, it's just gone, ironically enough. Granted, it wasn't the strongest stage anyway, but still, it's a weird omission. There are smaller quirks too, like not being able to stand on the air pump in level 2, which just makes this section so much harder. Moving on to the PC version of the game, this one was ported in-house at Disney Interactive. And honestly, it feels like a step down from the consoles. Some levels didn't make the cut, and the pseudo 3D effects are gone. Levels that make use of 3D, actual 3D, like the Doom Maze one, are also absent. And Woody doesn't control as smoothly either, which can make the game feel clunky at times. That said, there's one cool thing about the PC release. It has a remastered soundtrack with CD quality audio. So, while the game itself might be the weaker one, at least you got years to get a treat. And then there's the Game Boy version of the game. Look, I know it's the original Game Boy, so we have to set expectations accordingly. It's a much smaller, choppier version of the game, with even fewer levels than the PC release. It's far from perfect, but for the hardware, it's honestly not a bad approximation of the bigger game. Still, if you're serious about the experience Toy Story the game, these are not the versions I would recommend. Bottom line is, if you have a choice, stick with the Genesis. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's got the best balance of visuals, gameplay, and challenge with fewer compromises than any other version. And like, don't forget to collect as many stars as you can on each level. They are your ticket to extra lights and continues, and just trust me, you're gonna need them.
Now you can be Buzz in the new Toy Story 2 video game. Use lasers and whirling torso spins to save the day.
Following that, we've got Disney Pixar Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. or as in person would call it, just Toy Story 2. It hit the shelves in 1999 for the PlayStation and Nintendo 64, with a Dreamcast and PC version rolling in Y2K. This game ties into the Toy Story sequel, of course, and it comes from Traveler's Tales, the masterminds behind the first game. So yeah, hopes were sky high, and it was published by oh my god, okay, sorry. Man, what a jump scare. Anyway, unlike the first game, which I played as a kid, I never actually got around to this one. Mainly because I skipped the entire 5th and 6th generation of consoles like an absolutely lunatic. But you know, over the years I've heard people rave about it like it's a lost gen of game. Like heck, it even got a shiny PS4 and PS5 re-release in 2022. What the heck did I miss? Well, a damn good game, I'd tell you that. Much like the first game, Toy Story 2 is a very loose adaptation of the first movie. Emphasis on loose. And where the first game was a 2D side-scroller with pseudo 3D moments, this one jumps headfirst into the third dimension as a full-on 3D platformer. And honestly, I was expecting something linear. You know, like Crash Bandicoot style deal. Because, well, in the movie, Wood gets stolen and Buzz is racing against time to save him. So it seems like a setup for a straight shot, right? Wrong! Turns out this is a collectathon. Collectathon?
Collectathon.
Collectathon. Okay. Turns out this one's a collectathon, where you are wandering around a big open levels, picking up shiny junk like you've got nothing better to do. And like honestly, I'm not even mad. I love me a good collectathon. Like, give me a world full of shiny things to grab and I'm sold instantly. But before we dive in, one thing. The camera. Oh boy, the camera. Do yourself a favor and switch it from active to passive the second you boot up the game. Why? Because the game's automatic camera is frustrating, constantly making wrong guesses. With passive, you can manually control it, and trust me, it's a game changer. Early 3D games had their quirks, and the camera was one of them. You'll thank me later. There are 15 levels in total, and your main goal is to collect Pizza Planet tokens to unlock new stages and move on. Each level has 5 tokens up for grabs, and they usually follow the same pattern. Hen always wants 50 coins. There's a scavenger hunt for 5 of something scattered across the level. A time-based challenge, usually a race or something that makes you sweat. And 1 token is just sitting in open but in a hard to reach spot. And of course, there's a mini-boss showdown. Mr. Potato Head also pops up in some stages. If you return his missing body part, he will reward you with a power-up. These upgrades are crucial. You need them to progress throughout the game. So, the first level drops you right into Ant's house. But oddly enough, I think it's modeled after the house from the first movie, before they moved. Not sure why, but hey, it's the iconic version, so no complaints. You start in Andy's bedroom, but the whole house is open for exploration. Like living room, kitchen, garage, and even the attic. It's all here. And of course, Bo Peep needs you to find her 5 sheep. Because why worry about wood being stolen when there's sheep-related busy work to handle, right? Jokes aside, this is a stellar opening level. Since it's all indoors, the layout makes perfect sense. Rooms connected by hallways. So you'll naturally get used to the controls and movement as you explore. Speaking of which, let's talk about Buzz for a second. Buzz has the usual 360-degree movement, a jump, and a double jump. But he's also got a laser, which somehow destroys enemies despite being, just a light. He can spin attack, and if you spin mid-air, it turns into a ground pound. He can climb wires and grab ledges, a blessing for platforming. And there's even a first-person laser mode. Though, honestly, I found it pretty useless outside of a few very specific moments. In a way, this first level eases you in all the mechanics while letting you soak up that nostalgic Toy Story vibe. Now we're stepping up outside. So level 2 takes Buzz from the backyard to the surrounding neighborhood. And let me just say, this is the best stage in the game, like no contest. Unlike the house, this level is way more open, with only a few fences dividing key areas. The sense of scale is fantastic, you're just like this little toy wandering through the big road. And if you ever feel lost in any stage, by the way, just find Rex. He's your go-to guy for hints and directions. The main task here is helping Sarge by tracking down the Green Arm Man. But the real star of this level is this massive tree by the swings. Climbing it is tough as nails, because one wrong move sends you tumbling all the way back down. But it's never unfair, and the feeling of reaching the top is chef's kiss. This climb was the moment that I knew this game wasn't just good. It was something special, for sure. Okay, so level 3 isn't actually a full stage, it's a boss fight. And, if I'm being honest, the boss battles in this game are the weakest link. They are not bad per se, but just kind of there. Especially since every regular stage already features a mini-boss. So, anyway, this time the boss is a toy plane. It swoops down, shoots at you, and occasionally gets close enough that you can hit it with your laser. Rinse and repeat a few times and it's good. It's simple, quick, and not particularly memorable, so let's move on. Now we're back at the good stuff. In level 4, Buzz finds himself at a construction site, and no, this isn't in the movie, but come on, by now we are fully embracing the chaos of video game logic. That said, this level feels a bit smaller than the previous ones, not a ton of standout areas to explore, except for this massive construction going at the center. And trust me, this thing is the star of the show. Like the tree in level 2, this is a climb to the top, but this time it's way taller and tougher. Between laser shooting enemies, flying hot rivets, and the precarious platforming, it can get pretty overwhelming, not gonna lie. Sometimes it even feels a little unfair. Thankfully, falling doesn't always mean starting over, most of the time. You will land on a lower platform and can keep the climb. Plus, there are switches you can activate along the way to unlock a shortcut. So, do yourself a favor and hit every one of them. And while you are navigating the yard, don't forget to collect the 5 little Thrash and Mr. Potato's Head's lost eye. Next up is a random alley. Yep, I guess we're fully detached from the movie at this point, but hey, let's roll with it. This is one of the shorter levels in the game, with a more enclosed design. But don't let that fool you, there's still a lot to explore. The setting here is fantastic. It's a rainy night with puddles and streams that are basically a river if you are toy-sized. It creates a really cool vibe, and honestly, the atmosphere alone makes this level stand out. Your collectible target this time is a group of baby ducks scattered around the alley. But heads up, you won't be able to grab them all on your first visit. Some require a power-up you unlock in a future level, and this introduces a mechanic the game loves to sprinkle in: backtracking. If you hit an area you can't quite reach yet, odds are you're probably missing a power-up. Level 6 is another boss fight, and this time it's a slime monster or something? Seriously, is it a toy? Or is it just some rainbow sentient ooze? And if it isn't a toy, what does that mean for the Toy Story universe? Are other inanimate objects secrets alive too? Anyway, existential crisis aside, I think it's a toy, even it's chilling in a tiny trash can. But after the tire from the first game, I know nothing. Beating it is simple once you figure out the trick. Just spam your laser to push it back in the trash can. Do this a few times and victory is yours. Not the most exciting fight, but hey, we're here for the adventure, not the existential toy lore, right? With level 7, we are finally back at the location straight off the movie. So welcome to Owl's Toy Barn, where level 7 takes place. With large indoor spaces that offer plenty of opportunities for creativity platforming. It's a good level, solid, fun, and packed with nooks and crannies to explore. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't have the wow factor of early stages, you know? It's more like, oh, neat, then holy crap, this is amazing. Your main task here is rounding up chicks, I mean literal baby chickens, and while at it, keep an eye out for Mr. Potato Head's arm to snag up your next power-up. So yeah, there's some nice progression here, even if the level itself is a little bit standard. Level 8 is still at Owl's Toy Barn, but now we're in the space toy section. This is where Buzz really feels at home, I guess. The vibe here is all about intergalactic adventures, which fits perfectly since you're collecting aliens quick toys this time around. Like the previous level, it's another big stage with loads of platforming, but the twist here Ziplines. They are all over the place, letting you traverse between high platforms and hard-to-reach areas. The ziplines are fun, but can be a little tricky due to the camera angle. Thankfully, you were smart and switched to the passive mode at the start, so just adjust the camera manually to get a better view, and once you get the hang of it, the level is a blast to navigate. Time for another boss fight on level 9, and this one is a giant spaceship toy. It's surrounded by 6 spots, making it look pretty intimidating at first, but the fight is straightforward. Wait for the spaceship to lower, blast it with your laser, and it will open one of the pods to spawn enemies. Take them out, rinse and repeat until the spaceship's toast. Not much else to say here, it's another decent if unremarkable boss stage. Level 10 is easily the weakest stage of the game. It's set inside the air vents of Owl's building, and as you might expect, it's a series of cramped corridors with not much room for exploration. There is a bit of saving grace here, the elevator shaft. Once you activate the switches, the elevators start moving, giving you access to new areas. It's kind of neat, but even that doesn't make up for how underwhelming the rest of the level is. Your mission here is to collect mice, along with finding Mr. Potato Head's foot. While it's not a complete dud, this one doesn't hold up to the standards set by the other levels. Level 11, on the other hand, is a total standout and easily my second favorite stage of the game. It's set in Owl's penthouse, which initially feels a lot similar to Ant's house from level 1, but the devs went all out to make the most of this setting. Like, the level is just packed with creative platform challenges. We'll have to scale an elaborate train set in one room, then flood his entire bathroom in the other. Every room feels distinct, offering new surprises and gameplay twists. Meanwhile, you'll be collecting critters for Jess who, along with Bullseyes, who can talk, randomly makes an appearance. I guess Owl really only cared about Woody after all. This stage is a blast. It's unique, engaging, and packed with fun moments that make it one of the game's highlights. Yay, level 12 is another boss fight. But this time it's actually one that feels worth of the spotlight. It's Zurg! This fight is a lot more challenging than the others as well. Your laser completely loses here. You will need to get in close and hit him with your spin attack, which is way easier said than done, because Zurg just keeps floating around like a jerk, attacking you down while you're stuck in this tiny-ass platform. It's definitely one of the more memorable and rewarding fights in the game, and honestly, it's about time we had a proper boss moment like this. For level 13, we are at the airport, specifically the backstage area. This stage is all about maneuvering around conveyor belts, hopping on baggage, and navigating a ton of vertical platforming. The standout section for me here is a challenging climb up a dismantled aircraft, which feels like a spiritual successor to the tree climb from level 2. It's tough, but not unfair. Just the right amount of "oh my god, fuck this game" mixed with "yes, I made it." The layout can get a bit maze-like with plenty of twists and turns, but it fits the chaotic vibe of the movie's airport scene. And don't forget to collect little tech passengers and keep an eye for Mr. Potato Head's mouth, which is negative final power-up. And with that, you are now fully equipped to backtrack through the previous stages and 100% again. Level 14 ships the action to the airport runway, making it one of the most expensive levels in the game. You've got this massive plane moving around, which is super cool at first, but yeah, once the spectacle wears off, this stage just feels kinda empty. For such a huge area, there's surprisingly little in the way of platforming or interesting objectives. It's more about running in circles from point A to point B than actual exploration or challenges. That said, if you were wondering, yes, you can climb onto the airplane, which is easily the best part of this stage. Your mission this time is to gather little tight luggages, but overall this level didn't quite hit the same as the others. And here we are, the final boss, the grand finale, the epic conclusion, or maybe not. Honestly, level 15 is one of the most underwhelming endings I've ever seen for a game. It's just the 3 previous mini-bosses ganging up on you at once. That's it. No flashy set pieces, no cool cinematic movements, just chaos, I guess. It's a tough fight, sure, but not in a satisfying way. It is just tricky to dodge everything when all three of them are spamming attacks at the same time. And, why is Jessie here again? She was just fine chilling back at Al's penthouse not long ago. Also, can we talk about Woody's model? What is this? Like, what happened? Did they slap a photo of his face into a low poly body? All the other characters are stylized and look great, but Woody? They really got lazy. Even with that weak final boss, I totally get why this game is a certified classic. Like, it just takes everything the first game did well and cranked it up to infinity and beyond. Sorry, I had to. But in all seriousness, this is why I love making these kinds of videos. It's not every day you discover a new favorite, but when it happens, it makes all the hours playing and writing just worth it. And if you thought the first game's music was great, this one is a step up. The soundtrack is a vibe, and there's not a single dull moment while you're playing. If you're planning to play Toy Story 2 today, again you can grab the PlayStation 4 or 5 versions of, like, whatever Sony's calling the retro lineup these days. Do they even have a name for it, like the Virtual Console? I don't know, but honestly, you can't go wrong with any version of the game. And yes, even the Nintendo 64 version, which is the one I played for this video. Yeah? Sure, it's missing some of the FMVs and some audio cues, but you know what? I actually chose this version because Buzz just felt better to control. It was more responsive and, just more fun because of it. And let's be real, I can stream the movie whenever I want today, so those missing cutscenes didn't bother me at all. For me, the gameplay always takes priority and the Nintendo 64 version just nails it. But like, whichever version you pick, you are in for a great time. If you are feeling nostalgic or just love a solid platformer, definitely give Disney Pixar Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue a shot, it's worth it. And then there is Toy Story 2 on the Game Boy Color. This isn't even the same game as the other versions. There's no Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue subtitle or anything. Hell, there's barely even a game here. But because it's technically tied to the movie, I'm stuck talking about it. Now, I get it. Trying to cram a 3D platforming onto the Game Boy Color wouldn't work at all. So going for something different makes sense. But oh my god, whatever tier text the developers of this monstrosity thought they were going for, they weren't. Okay, so first impressions are actually great. Okay, maybe decent. It's bright, colorful, and animations are surprisingly detailed for the GBC. You boot it up and you think, hey, this might not be so bad. And then you press literally any button, and the whole thing falls apart like a cheap dollar store Buzz Lightyear knockoff. Like, Buzz controls like an absolute ass. His jump has this weird, sluggish delay. So you press the button and you just kind of wait for him to go. His laser takes even longer, so good luck hitting anything with that. But as bad as that is, it's not the worst part. Oh no, folks, we haven't hit rock bottom yet. If you press the jump button while moving, like, any normal human being would instinctively do in any platformer, Buzz just sprints. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? So, if you want to actually jump and move, good luck. You have to stop, press jump, and then nudge the D-pad to get Buzz to hop into the right direction. Needless to say, I didn't bother finishing this one, and neither should you. Like, just save yourself the time and sanity. And it's such a shame too, because if it weren't for this flaming pile of garbage, the Toy Story series could have had a perfect streak of solid tie-in games so far. But like, nope, this exists to ruin everything. Anyway, let's move on to Toy Story 3. Surely the third movie's game won't screw things up, right?
Guide Buzz through his adventures.
Now, Let's see the fast forward button and land into the year 2010. 2010. What a time. Inception was frying everyone's brain, and the iPhone 4 was the new hot new gadget. And somewhere in all of that, Pixar decided to drop the emotional nuke that was Toy Story 3. Like, after an 11-year wait, this sequel wasn't just good, it was a gut-punching, tear-jerking masterpiece that gave Andy's toys the perfect send-off. But, what about the game? Based on the movie? Could it possibly live up to the gold standard of the film? This one was developed by Avalanche Software, a studio that had been kicking around since the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo days. With that much history, maybe they could keep the Toy Story streak alive after Traveler's Tales knocked it off the park with the last 2 games. It was published by Disney Interactive, and it hit literally every platform imaginable at the time. PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii, PSP, DS, PC, and even the PS2? Really? Okay, I guess they were doing that every kid gets a copy approach. No, I actually played this one back in the day on a Nintendo Wii. If you remember, I got back into gaming during the 7th gen, and the Wii was my weapon of choice then. But for this video, I decided to give the PlayStation 3 version a spin. To see those HD graphics we were all hyped up about back then. And let's clear something up. The PS3, Xbox 360 and Wii versions of the game are virtually the same, down to the physics of Woody's floppy ass movements. The only real difference are graphical fidelity, of course, and some extra features missing from the toy box mode. We'll talk about that soon enough. Oh, and the PC version is just the Wii version with, some better resolutions left on top. For simplicity's sake, let's call this the next gen version. Remember when we used to call stuff next gen? Man, we are old. Now every generation just kind of blends into the next, but whatever, let's keep moving. So what kind of game are we looking at here? Well, Toy Story 3 kinda ditches the open world collectathon vibe of Toy Story 2 and instead give us a linear level by level 3D experience. Honestly, I thought they would just double down on the collectathon formula because it felt like such a natural fit for Toy Story, but hey, what do I know? And repeat with me, the game loosely adapts the events of the movie. But instead of clumsily cramming the movie's plot into gameplay, they actually came up with a clever in-universe excuse for that. The game's story takes place after the events of the movie, with Ham and Rex retelling the entire thing to Bonnie's toys. It's smart, it's weird, and it's totally Toy Story. Alright, let's kick things off, literally, by diving into the same opening as the movie. The toys are in one of Andy's epic playtime adventures. It's a classic kids' imaginations go nuclear scenario, and it's just as chaotic as you'd expect. There are a few differences from the movie though. Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head completely gone, like they don't show up at all in the game. And Jessie and Rex also get sidelined here, but whatever, the vibes are still strong. You start with Woody chasing down a runaway train while Dr. Porkchop tries to blow everything to smithereens with his giant weapon. Woody rides Bullseye, dodging collapsing terrain, explosions, and just general chaos. It's fast, it's fun, and it sets the tone perfectly. Then, you finally catch up to the train, and Woody's gotta hop from car to car trying to reach the engine. Of course, Dr. Porkchop's minions, the squeaky alien toys, are all over the place trying to stop you. Oh, and some cars are just full of boiling coal, so for a good measure, don't step on that. And just when you think Wood's solo adventure couldn't get any cooler, Buzz swoops in to lend a hand. The whole level feels cinematic as hell, like it's clearly designed to leave a strong first impression, and it absolutely delivers. Level 2 takes a big old jump ahead to teenage Andy. He hasn't touched his toys in years, and the gang is desperate to get his attention. So, what's the plan? Oh, just casually stealing Andy's cell phone, hiding it in the toy box, and calling it from the landline so he'll notice them again? Yeah, it's not a good plan, but it's straight off the movie. But here's the twist, the movie never explains how they got Andy's phone in the first place. That's where this stage comes in. You get to play as Woody, Jessie, and Buzz, switching between them to tackle different parts of the mission. Woods got his hand pull string to swing on stuff, Jessie is the queen of tiny platforms, and Buzz can catapult the other across the gaps. Your goal? Climb up to the absurdly high shelf where Andy apparently left his phone. Seriously, who leaves their phone in a top shelf? Anyway, once you snag the phone, you find out that Rex was supposed to bring the landline to the toy box, but Rex being Rex, he's MIA. So now Woody, Jesse and Buzz have to head down to the basement. Why is the landline in the basement? Anyway, to grab themselves. This part's really clever actually. You've got to chuck 4 little green Iron Men over to the table where the phone is, and they will bring it down for you. Compared to the adrenaline rush of the first level, this one's more slow-paced and puzzle-heavy. But honestly, it's awesome. The whole "you are a tiny toy in a huge world" aesthetic really shines here, especially in the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions. So, plot twist, Rex didn't come back because he got completely sidetracked playing the old Buzz Lightyear game. Yeah, that game from the opening of Toy Story 2. You know, the one it had everyone going, why can't this be a real game? So level 3 is the Buzz Lightyear game, and holy shit, it's easily the best stage in the entire game. This is the stuff childhood dreams are made of, and it delivers. You start by piloting Buzz down to the planet's surface, dodging space debris in a sequence ripped straight from the movie. Then you are on the planet itself, navigating an unstable terrain, while asteroids rain down around you, and yet it looks as good as it sounds. Finally, you get to Zurg's lair, and this is where things go full movie mode. The lair is filled with death traps, killer robots, and more laser beams than a 90s action movie. Well, I guess it technically is one. Everything is out to kill Buzz, but man, it's so much fun to play. And then, of course, the grand finale, a showdown with Zurg himself. Honestly, this level alone makes the game worth playing. This level is also the perfect showpiece for comparing the Wii and HD versions of the game. It's kinda wild how much the HD versions shine with their crisp textures and dynamic lighting. It's true eye candy. But you know what? The Wii version still holds on its own. Next up, for level 4, we jump to the toys' arrival at Sunside Daycare. Lots with all smiles and hugs giving the gang the grand tour, and naturally that means minigames. Time to prove yourself with the other toys by completing random challenges. The minigames are all over the place. First, there's one where you ride Bullseye around popping up balloons, and it's actually fun and simple. Then there's this one where you drive an RC car, but like not the RC car from the first movie, to knock down piles of blocks. But then there is that one. The minigame where you have to throw balls at the aliens' quick toys before they cross a red line. I hate this. I hate it. The aiming is so janky, it took me more tries than I'm proud to admit. That said, this level and the ones set in Andy's house are huge. Like, the environments are super expensive, but they feel a little bit wasted. This is why I'll die on the hill that Toy Story 3 should have leaned into the collectathon vibe. Like, there's so much potential for that, but hey, I'm not a game dev. Anyway, moving on. Next up, Bonnie finds Woody and brings him to her house. And oh boy, does her imagination go wild. This level is another banger and is easily the second best in the game. Let's be real, it's so hard to top the Buzz Lightyear one. It is split in 2 acts. The first is a platforming gauntlet, where the room is being flooded with coffee by a witch, played delightfully by Dolly. The platforming here is chef's kiss, with tight jumps and clever layouts that are a blast to traverse. All the while, Dolly's taunting Woody, making it even more entertaining. The second act? Oh, it's just a Sonic level. No, seriously, look at this. But let's get serious. Here you'll be grinding on rails, collecting batteries to power up a rocket to escape the witch, and it's fast, it's thrilling, and honestly, it's incredible how well it works here. Level 6 brings us back to Sunside. where Lotso has gone full power hungry, imprisoning all the toys and brainwashing Buzz to join his cause. Yeah, our boy Buzz is the enemy here. It's a stealthish level where you switch between Jessie and Woody to free your friends. The setup sounds cool, dodging truck toys patrolling with flashlights, but the execution, meh. There's no real consequence for getting caught. It's not like in Wind Waker's Forbidden Fortress where getting spotted means you're thrown into a prison and have to start over. The fight's solid with that whole prison escape aesthetic, but the gameplay itself feels slow and repetitive. Not bad, but not exactly memorable either for such a fun scene in the movie. For level 7, now we are at the junkyard and things get intense. This level is split in 2 acts again, and it does not mess around. The first act has you controlling Buzz in a conveyor belt trying to save the aliens' quick toys before they fall into the shredder. It's fast-paced and keeps you on your toes. The second act ups up the stakes. Hen, Rex and Slinky are all trapped in a giant pile of trash, and you have to switch between Woody, Jessie and Buzz to navigate the chaos and save them before time runs out. Miss a step and you're toast. This level is hard. You will probably die a few times on your first run, either because you are not sure where to go or with what character play, but it never feels cheap, just challenging in the best way possible. By the end, you feel like you've really accomplished something, and it's actually a ton of fun. The final level also doubles as the final boss, and it's completely original to the game. This one is him improvising story on the fly. As Buzz, you are tasked with stopping the witch, yep, Dolly's back again, from destroying Wood's roundup. She summons an army of muffin minions. Yes, muffin minions. Look at them and tell me they are not just minions. Anyway, it's a creative boss fight, especially with the unreliable narrator angle giving it a chaotic charm. But I don't know, something feels off. The game skips over so much from the movie. Like, no confrontation with brainwashed Buzz, or that creepy ass baby. Not even the monkey, I just remember the monkey. No moment to give Lotso the punch in the face he deserves. And only 8 levels? These games keep getting shorter. The ending also doesn't feel like it packs the emotional punch it could have had, leaving you wanting just a little bit more, you know? But wait, there is more. Toy Story 3 isn't just about the story mode. So enter Toy Box, an open world-ish side mode that puts you in charge of Wood's roundup. Whether you are Woody, Jessie or Buzz, you are the sheriff here, building up the town by helping residents and constructing new facilities. It's like Animal Crossing in a sense, with a dash of that cowboy flair. And fun fact, this mode was the inspiration for the Disney Infinity series. It's expensive, creative, and where a lot of the game's content lies. That said, it's not really my thing, so I didn't dive too deep into it. But if you are into this kind of sandbox gameplay, you will probably like it. Just remember to keep in mind that the Wii and PC versions of the game have less content in this mode, so you might miss out on some features. And that's Toy Story 3, the game. It's a solid follow-up to Toy Story 2 and an excellent game in its own right, but for me, the previous entry still holds the crown. I gotta say, the soundtrack here is also the weakest so far for me. Sure, it sounds like a lot like the movies, which is cool and all, but it doesn't quite fit the vibe of a game. Like, it's fine, but it's not great. But we are not done yet. There are other versions of Toy Story 3 to explore. And while I won't go as in-depth on those as I did here, let's take a quick look at what else is out there. Next up, we've got the PSP and PlayStation 2 version of Toy Story 3, developed by none other than Asobo Studio. I think that's how it's pronounced. But yes, here are the same studio that gave us A Plague Tale. Kind of wild, right? Anyway, from what I could dig up, these versions are practically identical aside from graphical fidelity. Now, let me just say, this is a very weird timeline. Normally, devs around this era would slap the PS2 tag on the Wii version and call it a day. And I'm looking at you, Sega. But no! This time the Wii gets to hang out with the big kids on the next gen, while the PS2 gets its own separate playground. I'll be honest, I kinda went into this version expecting nothing. I don't see anyone talking about it, and I hadn't played it before, so my hopes were as low as lots of Mortal Kombat's. Instead of Ham narrating the story to Bonnie's toys, this time we've got Rex. And he's an artist too. He's reminiscing about the events of the movie while sketching them out in his adorable little illustration notebook. The first level? Oh, it's Amy's playtime again. Except they just cut straight to the train. No chase sequence, no build up, just boom, here's the train. The gameplay? It's a linear straight to the point 3D platformer. And by platformer, I mean there's not of much actual platforming. But hey, the squeaky alien toys do pop out of a car at one point, so 10 out of 10 moment here. Level 2 takes another page out of the next gen version's book with the Let's Steal Andy's phone mission. Except this time we're playing as the army man dodging Andy's mom like it's Metal Gear Solid Toy Edition. And then comes level 3. Andy's mom have accidentally thrown away the toys and they freak out, escaping to hide into the garage. You play as Buzz, trying to regroup the toys and hitch a ride to Sunnyside. Wait. Is this an open zone stage? Is this a collectible? I was shocked when I played this for the first time. This stage is so good, like no joke. It's got freedom, exploration, and that sweet sense of discovery. It's everything I didn't know I wanted from this version of the game. And it doesn't even stop there. And like the game just keeps getting better and better. It introduces new mechanics, expands on old ones, and somehow feels like it was made with love. Like, even the graphics? It's not next-gen fidelity for sure, but these low-poly models have so much charm it's almost criminal. It's like looking at a retro diorama of nostalgia, and I'm here for it! I know I said I wouldn't do a deep dive here, but screw it, I couldn't put the controller down anyway, so yeah, you know what? Screw my original plan with the script, let's rapid fire this baby. In level 4, Woody's gotta stop the crew from freaking out, so you platform through the living room, turn on the TV to lure Andy's mom inside, then climb the house like a cowboy ninja or something to reach the car. Boom, problem solved. But oh no, plot twist! Andy's mom slams the trunk and everyone ends up at Sunside for level 5. Woody bails, but the others are not so lucky. So Buzz takes the lead, distracting the Chaos kids, while the crew escapes. Level 6 is back to Woody, escaping Sunside like a pro. From the daycare floors to the roof, it's a full tour of this plastic-filled prison. Luckily, Bunny shows up at the end and takes him home. One win for the cowboy. Then, for level 7, Buzz thinks Lotso is up to no good. And, spoiler alert, he's right. Your tracks his strawberry-scented trail, sneak past the creep baby, who makes an appearance in this game. And then Buzz gets brainwashed. Woody learns what's going down at Sunside and springs into action. So for level 8, you must sneak through Bonnie's house, dodge her mom, and hit the computer for a map. Oh, and Woody doesn't even have his hat here, just like in the movie. Attention to detail, off the charts. Woody's back at Sunnyside in level 9, pulling a full Mission Impossible by sneaking through air vents to shut off the security cameras. Jessie finally gets her time to shine in level 10, sneaking around those toy trucks with their flashlight to snag keys and free the squad. It's stealthy and it's satisfying. For level 11, we skip up to the junkyard now, and the bus takes the center stage. We just gotta save the crew stuck in the trash while platforming through this mechanical death trap. It's straightforward, sure, but stunt platforming, absolutely, and spectacle, off the charts. In level 12, it's time to swap gears and play as the squeaky aliens. You juggle all three, clearing paths for each other and reach the claw. It's teamwork, it squeaks, and it's pure fun. Time for a garbage truck ride back to Andy's house. Except for, oh no, Buzz got tossed out. Now level 13 is all about traffic dodging madness, as you platform your way back onto the truck, all while cars don't stop zooming around. Woof. Sure, not every level in PS2/PSP version of Toy Story 3 is a sprawling, open-ended collectathon like that masterpiece of the third act. Actually, a lot of them are straightforward, linear rides, but then they are tightly designed. It's this beautiful blend of spectacle and platforming that just keeps you hooked from start to finish. It's almost like they took the DNA of the first Toy Story game and spliced with the polish of the second one. But no Buzz Lightyear game stage like the next gen one. Or does it? Oh yeah, it kinda does. This version sneaks in some side modes. Not nearly as massive as the Toy Box mode from the PS3 Wii version of the game, but still awesome. One of them lets you play the Buzz in Universe video game, and then there's this gem. A mode where you play episodes of Woody's Roundup straight out of the second movie. Between the level design, the extra modes, I'm calling it. This is the best version of Toy Story 3. And speaking of better, even the soundtrack of this version just clicks. It fits the whole game vibe way more than the next gen one. Unless you are one of those people who lives for the Toy Box mode, in that case just stick to the next gen. Oh, and fun fact, the PSP version is actually available to buy on the PS4 and PS5 online stores. Do what you will with that info. Oh, but we are not done yet. There's one version of the game that we haven't talked about, the DS version. And how do I put this nicely? It's Thrash. Okay, maybe not the garbage truck Thrash, but it's not great. Sure, it can be a step up from Toy Story 2 on the GBC. Honestly, you can't go much below than that, but it's still just a touch control gimmick fest. By 2010, I thought we were past forcing touch mechanics into every DS game, but apparently, the devs at N-Space, yeah, I don't know who they are either, missed that memo. It's a shame because visually this game slaps for the DS hardware. There's even some light platforming sprinkled in, so it had potential, but nope, they just phoned it in. And yes, I played it on a real DS, not just on an emulator, so don't even try to blame my setup, it sucks either way. Oh, and this version also has the Buzz Lightyear level, so at least they've got that going for it. And there you have it, every single Toy Story movie tie-in game, covered from start to finish. But before we ride off into the sunset, let's slap these games onto a tier list, because ranking things on the internet never gets old. S tier, Toy Story 2 on the PlayStation, Dreamcast and Nintendo 64, of course. Oh, and Toy Story 3 for the PSP and PS2, this game absolutely slaps, what a surprise. A tier, Next Gen Toy Story 3 takes the lead here, followed by Toy Story 1 on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. Classics. B tier, that's where we find Toy Story 1 on the PC and the OG Game Boy. You know, solid attempts, but not quite legendary as the others. C tier, the DS version of Toy Story 3. It exists, and that's the nicest thing I can say about it. And finally, F tier, the depths of despair, home to Toy Story 2 on the Game Boy Color. I guess it is a game, technically. So yeah, while there's a dud or two in the mix, Toy Story games as a whole still punch way above their weight for licensed titles. Honestly, I would take this lineup over most other franchises tie-ins any day. But enough about me. What about you? You got any memories about these games? And if so, which one's your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell or something. I don't know how it works. I never do that. Want more notifications? I don't. Anyway, I'll catch you next time, so cue the outro.